Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Sharyu Varma Chopra and with me is VC Pramod with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is an important initiative to secure hard-working farmers from the vagaries of nature. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar says 90,000 crore rupees disbursed to farmers in the last 5 years. Government approves procurement of 83 light combat aircraft, Tejas, for about 48,000 crore rupees from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the Air Force. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.51%. Festival of Harvest being celebrated across the country. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news. The central government's flagship crop insurance scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, PMFBY, has successfully completed 5 years of its operation. The government took a historic step towards strengthening risk coverage of crops for farmers and approved the scheme on 13th January 2016. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is an important initiative to secure hard-working farmers from the vagaries of nature. Congratulating all beneficiaries on the completion of 5 years, the Prime Minister added that the scheme has increased coverage, mitigated risk and benefited crores of farmers in the country. The government has said that claims worth 90,000 crore rupees have been disbursed to the farmers in the last 5 years under PMFBY. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has stressed on the need to raise awareness about the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana so that many more farmers can take advantage of the scheme. Mr. Tomar was interacting with stakeholders across the country through video conferencing today. He said the scheme is a milestone crop insurance scheme covering the full crop cycle against losses occurring due to non-preventable natural risks.
राज्यों को ये चाहिए कि जो कंपनियां टेंडर में पार्टिसिपेट कर रही हैं, उनके साथ बैठकर हर किसान बीमा योजना के संपर्क में आवे, उसकी तरफ आकर्षित होवे। इस दृष्टि से एक निश्चित रोड मैप हमको कंपनियों के साथ मिलकर बनाना चाहिए। कोशिश ये होनी चाहिए कि फसल बीमा योजना के प्रति हर व्यक्ति जागरूक रहे।
The minister said the scheme was fully operational even during the COVID-19 lockdown, distributing claims of over 8,741 crore rupees to around 70 lakh farmers across the country. The agriculture minister also congratulated the state governments, banks and insurance companies for the successful implementation of the scheme throughout the country. Earlier, in a media briefing in New Delhi today, the agriculture minister said more than 29 crore farmers have so far insured their crops and about 5.5 crore new farmers are getting registered every year. Mr. Tomar said, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is safeguarding farmers from unexpected crop losses. He said, a crop insurance mobile app is also available where farmers can get all information related to the scheme.
प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना ये किसानों के लिए प्रतिकूल प्राकृतिक परिस्थितियों में एक बड़ा सुरक्षा कवच है, जिसका लाभ देश भर में किसानों को मिल रहा है। क्रॉप इंश्योरेंस ऐप के माध्यम से भी यह सुविधा किसानों को प्रदान की गई है कि वो अपनी स्थिति को कभी भी देख सकें, जांच सकें, किसानों के भुगतान ठीक समय पर हो सके, राज्यों का केंद्र का काम कम हो सके और ईमानदारी से पूरे पारदर्शी ढंग से उनके नुकसान का मूल्यांकन किया जा सके। इसके लिए सैटेलाइट का उपयोग भी करना प्रारंभ किया है। उसके लिए एक अच्छे परिणाम आज हम सब लोगों के सामने आ रहे हैं।
Hailing the success of the visionary scheme, Home Minister Amit Shah said PMFBY has been successful in ensuring the income of the farmers by giving them crop insurance cover even after the harvest. He asserted that the government is committed to making farming easy as well as profitable for farmers in the country. The scheme was conceived as a milestone initiative to provide a comprehensive risk solution at the lowest uniform premium across the country for farmers. In the scheme, premium cost over and above the farmer share is equally subsidized by the centre and the states.
Government has approved procurement of 83 light combat aircraft LCA Tejas worth about 48,000 crore rupees from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for Indian Air Forces. The Cabinet Committee on Security CCS, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, met in New Delhi today. In a series of tweets, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said this deal will be a game changer for self-reliance in the Indian defence manufacturing. He said the LCA Tejas is going to be the backbone of the Indian Air Force's fighter fleet in the years to come. He added that LCA Tejas incorporates a large number of new technologies, many of which were hitherto unattempted in India. The Defence Minister said the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited HAL has already set up second-line manufacturing facilities at its Nasik and Bengaluru divisions. The Defence Minister said the LCA Tejas program would act as a catalyst for transforming the Indian aerospace manufacturing ecosystem into a vibrant Atmanirbhar self-sustaining ecosystem. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, India is continuously growing its power to indigenously design, develop and manufacture advanced cutting-edge technologies and systems in the defence sector. About 500 Indian companies, including MSMEs, in the design and manufacturing sectors will be working with HAL in this procurement. An ITC Grand Challenge for development of a smart water supply measurement and monitoring system is underway. It was launched on the 15th of September 2020 by National Jal Jeevan Mission in partnership with Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Currently, 10 applicants which were selected are developing prototypes. They will be evaluated in the last week of January, wherein best 4 techno-economically viable prototypes will be selected for product development. The Karnataka State Cabinet was expanded today with the induction of 7 new ministers. Governor Vajubhai Vala administered the oath of office in secrecy to the ministers at a ceremony at the Raj Bhavan. The new ministers are Umesh Katti, S. Angara, Murugesh Nirani and Arvind Limbavali, and MLCs are Shankar, MTB Nagaraj and CP Yogeshwar. More from our Bengaluru correspondent.
Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and his cabinet colleagues were present during the ceremony today. Others present were BJP General Secretary in charge of Karnataka, Arun Singh, and State Unit President Nalin Kumar Katil. This is the third expansion of the cabinet since Yediyurappa assumed charge in July 2019. The 17-month-old cabinet now has all the 34 berths full. Umesh Katti is an 8th-time MLA from Belagavi, where Lok Sabha and Assembly by-election will be held soon. Nirani and Limbavali are state BJP vice presidents and former ministers, and Angara is a 6th-time MLA from Sulia. Speaking to the media, Chief Minister had indicated earlier today that Excise Minister H. Nagesh will be asked to step down, thereby keeping 1 berth vacant in the state cabinet. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is an important initiative to secure hard-working farmers from the vagaries of nature. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar says 90,000 crore rupees disbursed to farmers in the last 5 years. Government approves procurement of 83 light combat aircraft Tejas for about 48,000 crore rupees from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the Air Force. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.51%. Festival of Harvest being celebrated across the country. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
The country's COVID-19 recovery rate has now improved to 96.51%. A total of 17,817 COVID patients recovered during the last 24 hours. The total number of recoveries has gone up to over 1,129,000. The Health Ministry said the actual caseload currently comprises only 2.04% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 2,14,507. During the past 24 hours, 15,968 new cases were reported, taking the total number of positive cases in the country to over 1,04,95,000. The minister said, currently India's case fatality rate is at 1.44%, which is one of the lowest globally. During the last 24 hours, 202 deaths were reported, taking the toll to 1,51,529. India will start the world's biggest COVID-19 vaccination drive from Saturday. The much-awaited distribution of the COVID vaccine Covishield, developed by the Serum Institute of India, Pune, has also begun. The Health Ministry today stressed that there is no question of discrimination against any state in the allocation of COVID vaccine doses. In a series of tweets, the Health Ministry said that the full initial procurement amount of 1,65 lakh doses of Covishield and Covaxin vaccines have been allocated to all states and union territories in proportion to their healthcare workers' database. The ministry said this is the initial lot of supply of the vaccine doses and would be continuously replenished in the weeks to come. It said any apprehension being expressed on account of deficient supply is totally baseless and unfounded. The ministry said states have been advised to organize vaccination sessions taking into account a 10% reserve or wastage doses and an average of 100 vaccinations or sessions per day. The Health Ministry said any undue haste on the part of the states to organize an unreasonable number of vaccinations per site per day is not advised. The states and UTs have also been advised to increase the number of vaccination session sites that would be operational every day in a progressive manner as the vaccination process stabilizes and moves forward. Dr. Sanjay Pandey of GP Pant Hospital has assured people that the COVID vaccine is absolutely safe and asked them to cooperate with the government in the vaccination drive.
जनता को सरकार के लिए हुए फैसले पर भरोसा रखना चाहिए और सरकार की जो भी रेगुलेटरी एजेंसियां हैं, चाहे वो ICMR हो, चाहे वो DCGI है, या चाहे नीति आयोग है, या चाहे स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय है, इस सब ने मिलकर एक फैसला किया है और जो भी वैक्सीन मुहैया कराई जाएगी वो बिल्कुल सेफ है। तो मैं जनता में इस बात का भरोसा दिलाना चाहता हूं कि जो भी भारत सरकार ने वैक्सीनेशन स्टार्ट किया है और जो 16 जनवरी से प्रारंभ होगा उस पर पूरा भरोसा रखें और इसमें सरकार का सहयोग करें।
Dr. Pandey appeals to people not to panic. He said a person will be monitored for 30 minutes after administration of the vaccine to check for any allergic reaction after the vaccination.
इसमें कोई घबराने वाली बात नहीं है, पैनिक क्रिएट करने वाली बात नहीं है और अखबार की जो जानकारियां हैं उनको पढ़ के एंजाइटी क्रिएट करने वाली बात नहीं है। अगर मान लीजिए कि किसी को एलर्जिक रिएक्शन हो भी जाता है तो इसीलिए ऐसा प्रावधान किया गया है कि वैक्सीन लेने के 30 मिनट्स के बाद भी आपको वहीं रहना है, ताकि अगर एलर्जिक रिएक्शन होता है तो आपकी मॉनिटरिंग की जा सके। और एलर्जिक रिएक्शन को कंट्रोल करने के लिए काफी सरल उपाय होते हैं, तो इसमें कोई घबराने वाली बात नहीं है।
Bharat Biotech has announced the successful air shipment of Covaxin to 11 cities in the country early today. It has handed over 16.5 lakh doses to the Government of India. The BBIL, in a statement released in Hyderabad, expressed its gratitude to the nation, all the clinical trial volunteers and its partners for making this a successful and milestone public-private partnership for the development of COVID-19 vaccine. Covaxin is a totally indigenous COVID-19 vaccine developed in collaboration with the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, National Institute of Virology, NIV, and the BBIL at its BSL-3 Biosafety Level 3 Biocontainment Facility in Hyderabad. The first consignment of about 94,000 doses of the Covishield vaccine reached Bhopal Airport in Madhya Pradesh today. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
The first batch of the vaccine doses arrived at the Raja Bhoj airport in a scheduled flight from Mumbai today. State Medical Education Minister Vishwas Sarang inspected the state vaccine store at Kilol Park, Bhopal. Mr. Sarang informed that 94,000 vaccines have come to Bhopal, which are being sent to 8 districts of the division: Bhopal, Baitul, Harda, Hoshangabad, Raisen, Rajgarh, Sihor and Vidisha. The vaccine will also be available to Gwalior on Thursday. More than 5,06,000 vaccines are being received in the first phase. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Uttar Pradesh, COVID vaccines today reached many prominent cities of the state like Kanpur and Prime Minister's constituency Varanasi. Vaccines arrived in Lucknow yesterday and dispatched to different locations. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad informed that vaccines are being dispatched to 9 locations in state, and on 16th January they will be given to the target groups. Health Minister of State Jai Pratap Singh said that Uttar Pradesh will get around 11 lakh vaccines for vaccination, out of which 1,60,000 vaccines reached yesterday under first consignment. Meanwhile, after a long gap, the number of new corona patients found in one day is less than 500. The state now has 10,132 COVID patients. The recovery rate from COVID has further increased to 96.86%. He said that My COVID app is helping a lot in getting information about the testing center for COVID in the 5-kilometer radius of any person's location. It also helps in getting the test results online. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
All preparations for the first phase of COVID vaccination have been completed in Rajasthan. Today, 5,63,500 doses of the vaccine were received by the state. Of these, 4,43,500 doses are Covishield vaccine from the Serum Institute of India, while 20,000 vaccine doses are Covaxin from Bharat Biotech. More from our Jaipur correspondent.
Director of Health Department Dr. Lakshman Ola told that the work of sending the vaccines to all district headquarters will be started from tomorrow morning. He told that vaccination work will start at 161 places on January 16th, in which 4.5 lakh health workers will be vaccinated. Meanwhile, the number of active cases of corona in the state has been reduced to less than 6,000. Today, 373 new cases of infection have been reported. For the past few days, no district has reported more than 100 cases in a single day. At the same time, the number of new cases is limited to 10 in most of the districts. Jitendra Trivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
The first consignment of COVID-19 vaccine, Covishield, arrived today in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The consignment has been sent to the Central Vaccine Depot at GB Pant Hospital in Port Blair. Adequate security arrangements were made at the airport for handing over the vaccine. Initially, the vaccination will be carried out at 2 sites in Port Blair, that is GB Pant Hospital and Ayush Hospital. Later, this will be extended to 6 other sites located on different islands. In Mizoram, 14,421 healthcare workers have registered for the first phase of the COVID-19 vaccination drive. Of the total health workers, 14,107 are state health workers and 314 are central healthcare workers. State Health Secretary H. Laling Maria, who is also the chairman of the State Task Force for COVID-19 vaccination, said that the state government is fully prepared for the first phase of the vaccination drive.
In Sikkim, the first phase of COVID-19 vaccination program will be launched on the 16th of January at STNM Hospital, Gangtok, East Sikkim. So far, 180 doses have been allocated for central healthcare workers, 10,650 for state healthcare workers, and 1,290 for armed forces medical services, while the remaining will be kept for buffer stock. 220 vaccinators have been trained so far. Government has advised states to efficiently manage the spread of avian influenza in accordance with the Action Plan 2021. In a statement, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying said, as on today, the cases of avian influenza have been confirmed in 10 states. The cases of unnatural mortality of birds have been reported in Ganderbal district of Jammu and Kashmir and 4 districts of Jharkhand. The ministry said to deal with the situation, the states were asked to coordinate with the Department of Health and Forest and sensitize them about the issue. States were also asked to maintain sufficient supply of protective equipment and maintain biosecurity measures in poultry farms. They've been directed to identify BSL-2 labs at the state level for speeding up the identification of infection in the state and timely introduction of control mechanism. States were also asked to ensure that the infection does not spread among poultry, as it would have a high economic cost for the poultry farmers. The ministry said it was found that many states are banning supply of poultry and poultry products from other states. It has requested states to reconsider such decisions, as this will add negative impact on the poultry industry.
This is All India Radio giving you the news.
All India Radio presents World News. News and views from across the globe. What happened and what is up next? The newsmakers and the highlights of the day. From 10:30 to 11 p.m. every night on 100.1 FM, All India Radio.
A World Health Organization team of experts probing the origins of the pandemic is set to arrive in Wuhan tomorrow amid a spike in new COVID cases in China. The team will undergo quarantine when they reach Wuhan in central Hubei province, a National Health Commission NHC official said at the press conference today. More from our Beijing correspondent.
WHO team is visiting at a time when China is facing a rising virus outbreak in multiple cities ahead of its biggest annual festival. WHO experts will communicate with Chinese medical experts by video during their quarantine period in Wuhan. China has been sensitive about accusations of a cover-up that delayed its initial response and allowed the virus to spread. Also, China actively pursued to shift the narrative that COVID originated elsewhere amid allegations on the WHO's role, especially in the beginning of the pandemic. Since then, many theories came about the origin of the coronavirus and much remains to be known. It will be a joint investigation by WHO and Chinese scientists, and not much details have been published about the action plan. Meanwhile, to guard the capital Beijing against the recent outbreaks in neighboring Hebei, Beijing city authorities have stepped up screening and prevention measures to prevent another cluster from developing there. Anshman Mishra, All India Radio, Beijing.
The NHC has said that the Chinese mainland reported 150 newly confirmed COVID-19 cases yesterday, the biggest daily number in months, of whom 107 were locally transmitted. Heilongjiang province declared a COVID-19 emergency today. The city of Suiya has put its 5.2 million people under lockdown. Hebei province has already put 3 cities, Shijiazhuang, Xingdai and Langfang, bordering Beijing city, are already under lockdown. Back home, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the passing away of noted social activist and Padma Shri D. Prakash Rao in Cuttack in Odisha today. In a tweet, the Prime Minister has said that he rightly saw education as a vital means to empowerment. Recalling his meeting with D. Prakash Rao in Cuttack a few years ago, the Prime Minister said his outstanding work will continue motivating people. Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, in his condolence message, said that he worked for the development of the downtrodden. A number of dignitaries, including the Governor of Odisha, Professor Ganesh Lal, Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, and Union Minister of State Pratap Chandra Sarangi, have expressed grief over the sad demise of the social activist.
Celebrations have begun for the Festival of Harvest across the country. The festival is referred to by different names in different parts of the country, such as Pongal in Tamil Nadu, Makar Sankranti in northern India, Gujarat, West Bengal and Karnataka, and Bihu in Assam. The Festival of Harvest, Lodi, is being celebrated today in North India, especially in Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Delhi, Jammu and Chandigarh. Lodi marks the end of winter and welcomes longer days of summer as the sun begins its journey to the northern hemisphere. People light bonfires to celebrate the harvest. In Punjab, this harvest festival is marked by eating sheaves of roasted corn from the new harvest and eating kheer of sugarcane juice from January sugarcane harvest. A report from our Chandigarh correspondent.
In Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh, the bonfires of Lodi are being seen everywhere. The people are celebrating the seasonal as well as harvesting festival of undivided Punjab with great zeal. Everybody is in joyous mood and enjoying the groundnut sheaves of roasted corn, revdi and other items made of jaggery which were offered in the sacred bonfire which was lit in the evening. The people are dancing on the beats of drum around the bonfire. In Punjab today, Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh launched Tiyan Di Lodi program, which will continue throughout the months. Today, in various institutions and hospitals, Tiyan Di Lodi was celebrated, and girl students and newborn babies were offered gifts in the form of Lodi. Ashwini Kumar Sharma, AIR News, Chandigarh.
President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have extended their greetings and wishes to the citizens on the occasion. Puducherry Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi has greeted the people of the Union Territory on the eve of Pongal. In her message, the LG said, Pongal, the 4-day festival, is celebrated at the beginning of the Tamil month Thai. The festival is celebrated to express gratitude to the sun god, the nature and cattle, reflecting our culture and tradition observed by the Tamil diaspora worldwide. Our Puducherry correspondent tells us more about the festival.
The first day of Pongal is called Bogi and is celebrated in honor of Lord Indra. As a customary practice in Puducherry, people cleaned the homes and lighting a bonfire to get rid of unused items. Meanwhile, the Puducherry Pollution Control Board propagated the message of controlling air pollution during Bogi by asking people not to burn tires, plastics and rubber. It is informed that the burning of tires, plastics and unwanted household articles let out poisonous gases which caused irritation of eyes, nose, throat, skin, respiratory diseases such as asthma, bronchitis and other health disorders. Chandra Mohan, AIR News, Puducherry.
The Defence Ministry has said 321 school children and 80 folk artists will feature in the cultural program of the Republic Day Parade this year on 26th January. School children from 4 Delhi schools and folk artists from the East Zonal Cultural Centre, Kolkata, will take part in the cultural program. The Republic Day Parade this year will see a contingent of Bangladeshi armed forces marching on Rajpath. A report from our special correspondent in Dhaka.
A 122-member strong Bangladesh Armed Forces contingent will be participating in the Republic Day Parade on 26 January in India. The contingent left Dhaka aboard a special Indian Air Force C-17 Globemaster flight on Tuesday. The Bangladesh Armed Forces contingent comprises soldiers of the Bangladesh Army, sailors of the Bangladesh Navy, and air warriors of the Bangladesh Air Force. According to a press release issued by the High Commission of India in Dhaka, this is only the third time in India's history that any foreign military contingent has been invited to participate in the national parade at Rajpath in Delhi. It is especially significant as the year 2021 marks 50 years of the Liberation War of Bangladesh. A majority of the soldiers in Bangladesh contingent come from the most distinguished units of the Bangladesh Army, from East Bengal regiments and field artillery regiments, which fought in the 1971 Liberation War of Bangladesh. Rajesh Jha for AIR News, Dhaka.
In Tamil Nadu, the Met Department has predicted heavy rain under the influence of cyclonic circulation for the next 5 days over many places in the southern districts of the state. Rains continue to lash the southern districts and reservoirs are filling up to the brim. As a result, acres of lands have been inundated and crops which were ready to harvest have suffered heavy damage.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital will have dense fog in the morning. The city will observe a minimum temperature of around 4 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 17 degrees. Mumbai will experience mainly clear skies. Temperature will hover between 21 and 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have generally cloudy skies with light rain. The temperature will vary between 24 and 29 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is likely to have fog or mist in the morning and a mainly clear sky later. The city will observe a minimum temperature of around 14 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 25. Srinagar will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be around -7 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 6 degrees. Jammu will experience fog or mist in the morning and a mainly clear sky later. Minimum temperature around 7 degrees Celsius and maximum of around 15. And now, before we end this bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is an important initiative to secure hardworking farmers from the vagaries of nature. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar says 90,000 crore rupees disbursed to farmers in last 5 years. Government approves procurement of 83 light combat aircraft Tejas for about 48,000 crore rupees from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for the Air Force. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.51%. Festival of Harvest being celebrated across the country. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.